What's going on, everybody? This is the newest episode of Blast Beats, hosted by yours truly, Zach Riener, and my awesome and amazing co-host, Chris Spooner. How you doing today, Spoon?
I am doing fantastic, Zach. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm a little overworked, but that kind of is the theme every week. But I have had some amazing music that I have been in much preparation for this episode. And we will get to the main topic here in a little bit. But we were gonna add a little tidbit onto our show from a couple weeks ago of shows and talking about shows a bit because I believe I've finally found my next show that I will be attending. And it's been way too long, as we established in episode 2. But the Pure Noise Records, Pure Noise, one of my favorite pop punk and hard rock. I would say more on the pop punk. What is it, easycore genre? They have their 2021 tour, which will be featuring State Champs, 4 Years Strong, Real Friends, Just Friends, and Bearings. 4 of those bands, of which I am very, very, very big fans of. The only one I don't know is Just Friends. But I mean, heck, 4 out of 5 on at a concert show is pretty darn good. I've seen State Champs before at Warped Tour. I've seen 4 Years Strong before. I don't know if I've seen Real Friends, but they've never been one for me to like go out of my way to go see.
Mhm.
And then Bearings, I've actually just found this past year. Solid pop punk group. I believe they're from Canada. And yeah, I'm very excited. The tickets I think are only like 20, 22, $23. So it's kind of hard to beat.
Wow.
Yeah. It'll be at where is it? It's at the Fillmore in Silver Spring, Maryland. So indoors, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, Bearings out of Ottawa, Ontario. So yeah, I will be very excited. I've already put the day in to take out for work, so that way they don't schedule me for that day. Yeah, I might be going to a live show here soon. It's been, like I said, probably like 2, 3, 4 years. Way too long. Way too long.
That is fantastic. And 5 bands for $25. You really can't beat that. I can't say I'm
No,
familiar with any of the bands, but happy you found something.
out of the five of them, if we were more on, for our listeners, if you're looking for something that was more on the heavier side, 4 Years Strong, I would consider them a day to remember. Really, really, really fun. That's the only band that I've ever participated in a circle pit in. Because again, I'm a very small individual, and regular mosh pits will destroy me. I am totally fine with running in a circle, though. That works. Uh, um, but yeah, and then we've also had some news for a show that you've mentioned in the second episode. So if you want to dish about that a little bit.
Yeah, so yesterday there was a couple big drops for the Louder Than Life festival out in Louisville, Kentucky. They announced that Memphis May Fire and Every Time I Die have been added to the bill as a couple of bands needed to drop off. Memphis May Fire has been added to the Thursday lineup, and Every Time I Die was added to Sunday's lineup the day that I'm going to be there. So I'm really looking forward to that. The lineup for Sunday is incredible. I get to go from starting the day off with Fozzy, and I can go right into Tremonti, the ex guitarist from Creed, and he's had a pretty prominent solo career. So I'm excited to get to check that out. I haven't really listened to any of his stuff post Creed and his second band, Alter Bridge. So I'm excited to hear that. And from there, I can go right into Bad Flower. I'm a big Bad Flower fan.
You know,
Their
it's
song.
it's
Go ahead.
awesome that you are mentioning them, because when we get into new music, that is somebody I am highlighting in new music, because they have an album coming out with a single that dropped this past week, and it was really good.
I've not had a chance to listen to that single yet, but I am going to at some point. Like I said, I'm a big Bad Flower fan. Their song "Ghost" is something that I spin regularly. Love that song so much. So I'm really excited to get to see them. And from them, I get to go right into From Ashes to New. And after that is Every Time I Die. Then the headliners, Either, then Mudvayne, and Judas Priest, finishing the night with the second set from Metallica.
So, who was originally on the Sunday lineup that dropped off that Every Time I Die replaced?
I am not sure. One of the bands that I know dropped off was Hyro the Hero. So I think it might have been them.
Okay. Because because they were still, I think, blank when we talked about this 2 weeks ago. They still had the blanks on there and hadn't actually announced who was replacing those bands. But then when there's another show coming up that you're also going to, which we have not a sneak peek. It's not really a sneak peek because he performed, but there's been changes to one of our favorite bands' live performances.
Yeah. So Slipknot finally got to perform live for the first time post-pandemic. Not really post-pandemic, but since the pandemic started. And they were playing in Rocklahoma, and Corey Taylor, lead singer, coming off of a COVID battle of his own, debuted his new mask.
Yes. So from this article I'm looking at on Loudwire right now, their actual last concert was February of 2020 in Helsinki, Finland.
Yeah,
So
and
they were still supporting We Are Not Your Kind. So that's how long it's been since, and it's even crazier because as Slipknot fans know, and probably other metal fans know, when new masks come out, that means that there's new music on the way.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
as we were talking before, it does sound like you told me that Corey has some vocals to record and get laid out. But I have been hearing rumors and have been seeing some things that the newest Slipknot album is almost here. And after the last release, because again, I do believe we talked about this. Point 5 is very, very divisive among fans. I think you love it or you hate it. We Are Not Your Kind was amazing in my mind. It was a great going back to what Slipknot was and like just what made them Slipknot. And the lead, what was the song? What was the song that wasn't on the album but came out right before?
It was We Are Not Your Kind.
Was it it was okay because they didn't have that, and then the first single was Unsainted. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So We Are Not Your Kind, when that came out, I was so hyped. But then to find out that was just a Lucy and not even on the album, that made it even better. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Because that video was crazy.
The video was crazy, the song was crazy, and I thought it was crazy that it wasn't on the new album, but when I got the new album, it blew me away. I loved that album. It was one of my favorites in their discography, and the song Solway Firth is one of my most played songs of theirs. I love that track so much.
Solway Firth is amazing. From that specific album, I would say I want to say mine's probably Red Flag.
Flag was great. Critical Darling was great.
Nero Forte was.
Forte is so good too.
But then on top of that, they did things that, Slipknot from 10, 15 years ago wouldn't do, but I feel like it worked better this time. It fit with the album. There were some of those slower songs, some more of those instrumental things where Corey could do more of a stone sour vibe with his voice as opposed to being overtly heavy, and it worked. That's not a bad thing. It's learning how to pull all of those elements together to make a firm project that fans of old and fans of new will all find something they love.
Yeah, it really felt like a culmination of just their growth as musicians, especially from, where they came from with their first couple of releases, their Wall of Noise with the self-titled, and Iowa is still my favorite Slipknot album, but it's not I would call a technically sound album.
Hmm.
It really felt like the latest album is kind of, like I said, the culmination of them really mastering musicianship. So I'm really excited to see what we get from the new album. From what I've heard, Corey just has a couple of tracks to finish up vocals on, and then it should be good to go. I think probably by the end of the year.
Okay. Speaking of Corey Taylor and somewhat cycling into our next topic and the main topic of today's podcast. Tomorrow, not tomorrow, on the 10th, yes, the 10th, Friday, the Metallica Blacklist album will finally drop, which Corey Taylor has a cover on of Holier Than Thou. I was just looking through and saw that.
Mhm.
So, yes, today's topic is Metallica, one of the forefathers, one of the greatest metal bands and pioneering metal bands of the genre. Now, I'm going to put this forward out there. Up until the past 2 days, I have never sat down and listened cover to cover to a Metallica album. And part of that is due to my first exposures to Metallica. Um, and it wasn't something that was very much readily available to me. Because the only Metallica album that I had readily available to me growing up was S&M Volume 1.
Mhm.
And I mean, yeah, it's Metallica, but it's a very, very, very different Metallica album. um,
That's for sure.
and something I didn't know, actually, the reason they did that was one of the wishes of the bassist Burton. He wanted their music set to classical music.
And it
And that's the reason they did it. And I mean that's kind of
worked.
crazy. It worked. But you know when you're looking at S&M and what I believe that has one on it. So the first time I'm ever hearing one is this really weird, like cool-ish, like it was very strange. It was very strange for me because I'm like, yeah, like these guys are metal gods, but this is not a metal album. Like, what is this? And it was very weird, very interesting. But also, as I tweeted last night, and as we've talked about in the past, I am a alumni of Virginia Tech, and because of that, I have a very, very special place in my heart for the Black Album, as we all saw with the start of college football season of the 2021 college football season. The greatest introduction in college sports is Enter Sandman at Lane Stadium. We have registered at least 6 or 7 earthquakes from that introduction of people jumping, making noise, and the whatever it is, the I forget what they're called, the seismographs right outside of Blacksburg have picked it up 7 times. The UNC game was the most recent one. I was on the field for at least 2 of them, but it there's a video now, and I'm really upset that it didn't make it onto the broadcast because while the jumping and all of that is cool, after the team comes out of the huddle, after the team has come out and sorry, I had to get my thing plugged in because it's not plugged in. Uh, my so after all of that, it cuts to the beginning or the chorus where it does exit light, enter night. The entire stadium, they cut the music and everybody sings it.
Wow.
So it's literally just exit light. And it's just like echoing all around the stadium. I saw a tweet today of somebody who was on the field from this past weekend, who tweeted that out. And that's my favorite part of the intro is not all of the hype up and everything. It's the afterwards when you get people so locked into something that everybody knows the words, everybody carries it on. It's like when you go to a sporting event and they do just a playing of the national anthem and somebody starts singing and like people start singing it because you can. It's kind of like the same thing except Metallica.
And you know, those moments are always some of my favorite moments. when you go to a concert and the lead singer drops out, points the mic at the crowd, and everybody in the crowd is chanting the chorus or, chanting in the breakdown. It's just, it gives you chills every time it happens. It's just magic.
Yeah, it's always great. And definitely like I've had it happen many times on at Warped Tour. And I mean, bands just have those songs. They have those songs that go crazy. They have those songs that go off and everybody knows them. And it just creates a great environment at the concerts. But we're not going to be seeing much of these songs being played at concerts because they're all covers. There are no Metallica artists directly. I believe we talked about one of them last time. Weezer, in the first 6 songs, Weezer covers Enter Sandman. I've already listened to it. It's great. Some other things I'm noticing on here, like I said, Holier Than Thou by Corey Taylor. Cage the Elephant is doing a cover of The Unforgiven. There's actually quite a few hip hop artists on here. Flatbush Zombie. Darius Rucker doing a cover of Nothing Else Matters. It's gonna be a really cool album. I'm really excited.
Really is. They got a really eclectic group of artists from all across the music spectrum. It's no matter what you're into, no matter what kind of musical tastes you have, whether you're a country fan, a hip hop fan, a pop fan, or a metal fan, there's something on this album for you. And that's, I think, the best thing about it. No matter what you listen to, something here that's going to pique your interest and get you listening to these songs in a different way. They're 30-year-old songs, but this is breathing new life into them. And I really hope it reaches a wide audience, and I really hope it brings a new group of people into the metal genre. I think that was the goal with this album, was to introduce these songs to new crowds in a new way, maybe get them to expand their horizons.
And then, something else interesting that I'm looking at right now, because I pulled up the album on Metallica's website. And, not only is it fantastic for that aspect, that there's going to be something along any lines that somebody can really vibe to, but even better, I'm reading this. This is verbatim from the website. All profits from every track on the Metallica Blacklist will benefit Metallica's charitable foundation, all within my hands, along with the charity of each artist's choice. And every single artist on the album who covered a song has picked a charity where all of the proceeds and profits from this album will go to.
Yeah, it's an amazing effort. And when you have, I think it's 52 different artists on the album, that's a lot of charitable donations. That's going to do a lot of good.
It's incredible. I mean, I'm just looking at some of these right now. Ghost is doing an Enter Sandman cover? Oh my gosh.
Should be really good. I can't wait to hear that.
Wow. Yeah, this is going to be incredible. So, as we're talking about this, in preparation for talking about the Blacklist, we went in and decided let's just give it the full shebang. Let's talk about it. Let's give it a go. And yes, as I said before we started talking about this, Metallica, I mean, obviously I know the mainstream songs and a few other ones, because personally, my favorite Metallica album before I did all my research was Kill 'Em All. I really love Seek and Destroy. I love the album as a whole. It's actually the only piece of Metallica apparel I have is a beautiful, like, marbled maroon Kill 'Em All cutoff. I got it when I was in college, and it's probably one of my favorite shirts that I own. But had I not done the radio station and had my radio show for 4.5 years, I never would have heard Kill 'Em All, because Kill 'Em All was the only album by Metallica they had at the radio station.
Oh, wow.
So one thing I didn't touch upon when I was talking about my radio station earlier in the podcast is it was a great time, but they had very weird rules. And I understand the rules at this point in time sitting here, but when I was there, it was kind of dumb in my eyes. So you could not play any top 40 music. They
Yeah.
really don't want you to play any like top 40 bands, because what has set WUVT 90.7 Black FM Blacksburg for so long has been they play all of the songs and the artists and the bands that your regular radio station will not play. So
I
I think
respect
I
that.
I think I played a Linkin Park song once and I got a talking to. They're like, yeah, you can't do that. So the only Metallica album they had was Kill 'Em All, because it was the only one that wasn't like absolutely insanely popular, and it still had, it was their OG. It was back in the day. It was when they were first getting their start. It was underground and deep cut enough. So that all I had. Um, and then even going back, the only time I've ever heard one until I actually sat down and gave it a good listen was on Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. um,
Which depresses me because one is my all-time favorite song.
oh
Like
yeah.
I don't know that I could put together a top 5. It's top 1.
Oh,
I don't know what would follow it, but it is, to me, it's a perfect song. Just from the lyrics, the composition, the production, even with, the production issues that the And Justice for All album had, one is just a perfect piece of music to me.
Yes. And so as I said, with Kill 'Em All before the past 2 days, I have now listened through Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All, and Metallica. I haven't gone past that. Maybe at some point I will. Maybe at some point I won't. But now I would tell you that the last four song or the last, yeah, the last, well, no, 4 to 8. So the last 5 songs on Ride the Lightning leave Kill 'Em All as an entirety in the dust. And like the 3 track, uh, 4 through 6, Fade to Black, Trapped Under Ice, and Escape. I was in the cold box today, stocking, and I'm listening to all of these otherworldly guitar solos, and I'm just like, holy cow, where has this been all my life? How have I missed this? Like, why didn't I do this sooner? It was amazing. And then Master of Puppets. I'm walking through the deli, just like Master of Puppets and pulling the strings, and just like going crazy. But it's just so good because like this might be controversial, but I mean Slayer, Anthrax, and Megadeth, I have listened to in the past, and I can't get down to them as easy as it was for me to get down to Metallica.
Yeah, same. Like, respect Slayer, and there are a few Slayer tunes that I really enjoy. Who doesn't love Rain and Blood?
Yeah.
And there's a couple of others, but I've never been a big Slayer guy. I never got into Anthrax at all.
Okay.
There's just nothing in their discography that really captured my interest. Megadeth, I am a big fan of, especially their Euthanasia record. So of the big 4 thrash bands, Metallica is by far my favorite, but I do enjoy Megadeth. But I
And
was
Megadeth is Mustaine, right? He's the one that started them.
he started that as kind of a fuck you to
Yes,
Metallica after they
exactly.
kicked him out, and
I was
wanted
when I
to
was
bury
reading some
them.
of that. Yeah, when I was reading some of that, and reading some of the history of Metallica, um, when they released, oh, which album was it? He was on the first one. Then they released Ride the Lightning, right?
Yeah, and he's
Okay.
got a couple of credits on Ride the Lightning.
Yes. So when all that changed, apparently he, like you said, he was all out for like whatever. Like he wanted to bury them, but he was like the only reason what's his name? The only reason Kurt got famous is because he was doing my solos and my stuff. And I'm like, dude,
No,
no,
dude.
no, 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 no. You have to actually have talent in order to actually play them too. It's not like just like the dude read the music and was like, oh, I can do this. Um, and it's so funny because like I feel like there's so many bands that have that sort of vibe about themselves, at least musicians that have that vibe about themselves. That like, yeah, I'm the best there is. And there's no way that anybody could possibly be better than me. And then they bring somebody in and they do just as good.
I feel like you kind of have to have that kind of attitude,
Yeah,
though, to
I think.
be successful. It's kind of like in football. You have to step onto that field and believe you're the
Yeah.
best player out there, or you're gonna suck. I feel like it's kind of the same with musicians. They got to believe that you know they're killing it.
So there's two bands that I listen to pretty heavily. Crown the Empire and Issues. Both of them kind of had the same thing happen, except it was with their unclean vocalists, both bands. And part of it was now Issues was a little different. Crown the Empire was going a completely different direction. The dude didn't like it. However, what he didn't realize was that yeah, he kind of needed the rest of the band because outside of the rest of the band, if he wasn't in there, nobody really knew who he was. Like he had some name, notoriety, whatever, and he decided to go on and do his own thing. Issues though is really funny because they had Tyler Carter and Michael Bond, and originally they were in Woe Is Me, and they left Woe Is Me and then created Issues. And Issues kind of did the same thing where they were changing their sound a little bit, but they weren't necessarily getting rid of uncleans. But when they made their newest album, Beautiful Oblivion, they got rid of Michael Bond because they were like, dude, we're literally just writing parts in for you so that you can be on the record. It's like not even fitting. And they were just like, you know what? We're gonna cut ties. The dude who does the clean vocals, he can do the unclean stuff as well. So I feel like I guess it might be so more so in the hard post hardcore and like Warped Tour scene because like even Asking Alexandria did it with Dennis Stoff when what's his when Danny left. They bring these guys in, they like are super 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 just like and I get what you're saying about like being the best,
Hmm.
but I think there's also like Asking Alexandria. Dennis, do you really think you were better than Danny? Do you really
And he
think you
would
were
tell
better than
he would
Danny
tell
or
you
Snot?
he would tell
He
you he
probably
was.
would, but he wasn't.
Oh,
And that's where I feel like yeah, you have to think that you're the best that you are or the best that there ever is, but you also have to have some humility to
right.
realize like cuz like could you imagine if like one of these newer bands like somehow came across Metallica and they're like, "Yeah, I'm the best guitarist ever." And Kirk Merritt's just like, "What?"
Yeah,
It
he is an all-time
yeah.
guitarist. I don't know that he's the all-time guitarist, but he's one of them.
He's up there. He's definitely up there. I mean, it's hard to beat the likes of Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix and all of that. So I mean, it's he's definitely up there. And actually, that I believe if that's what caused not Burton. That's what caused Mustaine to say something was that I believe it was Rolling Stone ranked Hammett at somewhere in their top 100 guitars or guitarists of all time, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you only got big off of my stuff," and it's just like, come on, man, come on, you got
Hammett,
Megadeth, just go with that.
you've got your own thing, and Megadeth was great too. Hammett has a whole discography past when you left. Like,
Yeah,
yes, some of your riffs are uh, on Ride the Lightning. There's still Master of Puppets and Justice for All and the Black Album, and then everything they've done after.
yeah, it's so crazy to me. Also, something I thought was incredible. Do you know how they got their name?
Actually,
So apparently, the band's name came from Lars had a friend. Oh God, I'm gonna butcher this last name. Ron Quintana. And he was brainstorming for names of a new fanzine and was considering either Metal Mania or Metallica. And after hearing the two names, Ulrich wanted Metallica for his band, so he suggested Quintana use Metal Mania instead. And then that's yeah, literally, he was like, "No, I
then
want that. You
still
you use the other name."
nice.
um, so yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And then another interesting thing that I found out is Kill 'Em All was not supposed to be called Kill 'Em All.
No, it was going to originally be called Metal Up Your Ass.
Yes, and apparently the label they were on was not a fan of that being the name, so they changed it to Kill 'Em All.
Yep.
It's
And
so
I do
crazy to think about because
do
that
have a
was not.
shirt. You have a
Yeah,
shirt that they made for Metal Up Your Ass that you can find in various
that's amazing.
places.
That's amazing, and that's so funny because like you think about that nowadays, that wouldn't even be an issue whatsoever. That would honestly probably get them more exposure because some people would be like, "What? Metal up my ass? What are you talking about?" It's so funny, but I mean that's how these things come about. Is like you have bands like Metallica that push the boundary and do something new, and that's where we get to the Black Album, and that was super. That was such groundbreaking and just pushing things in a new direction for metal, for rock and hard rock, and okay. There was a tweet I saw from our Twitter account. Not one that we made, but something from one of the people that we follow. And I don't know what Kardashian did it this week, but apparently there was a Kardashian wearing a metal shirt of some band. I don't know, possibly, but
Yeah, she did. I can't remember the band. I want to say it was Cannibal Corpse.
okay. Why do people have a problem with it? I agree with this tweet so much. Why do people have such a problem with it? I don't understand. If a Kardashian is wearing a metal shirt for a band, all that's going to do is push them through into way more people's minds because Kim or Courtney or whoever the hell it was decided to wear a Cannibal Corpse shirt, and now these people are gonna be like, "Oh, who's Cannibal Corpse? Do you really think that the Kardashians are listening to Cannibal Corpse? No, they're not. I would not. I
God
would be
no.
surprised that they. I would absolutely be dumbfounded if they were. But they are fashion icons. And I mean, personally, I think fashion is dumb in general. I wear whatever I want. I do whatever I do. My family freaks out at me because I'm a very big person of like designed socks, and
Hmm?
my socks will not match the rest of my outfit. I will wear whatever socks I want to wear, and I wear shorts with them so that way people can see them. I don't care
Of
about
course, you have
fashion,
to.
but I care about it on the opposite side of, yeah, my people at Wawa that I work with, they're not going to be listening to Cannibal Corpse, but there's probably a better chance that they know who Kim Kardashian or whichever. Again, I don't know which one it was. I want to say it was probably Courtney because Courtney's dating Travis Barker,
I
and
think that's who it was. Yeah, it
that
was
would make
whoever's
so.
dating Travis.
All right, so it was Courtney, and that makes so much more sense because Travis Barker is actually in the rock and pop punk scenes, probably is introducing her to that music. It makes sense. But I don't get why people have such an issue when like a very big celebrity specifically, and I really feel like it's female, they wear a metal shirt and it's like, oh, you don't listen to metal. How do you know? But that doesn't even matter because it's
That's not.
all about promotion. Promote you. Why wouldn't you want your favorite metal bands to have their shirt worn by a Kardashian or have their shirt worn by a Hollywood actor or have their shirt worn by a TV star on a TV show? It gives you promotion. It puts them in the living rooms of people that they would not be at.
Right.
We have
That's
to stop cutting it down.
that's a big problem in metal specifically in some circles is the elitism of what is and isn't real metal and who is and isn't a real metal fan and who's a poser and people just need to get over themselves. Like it's all of it is all of it has its value. Metalcore, deathcore, death metal, thrash metal, rap metal, new metal, all of it has its value. And the same with gear and merchandise. It all has its value. It all benefits the bands financially, and having somebody of Courtney's stature wearing a Cannibal Corpse shirt is going to it's going to bring more light to Cannibal Corpse. It's going to bring more light to extreme metal as a whole, as it's already done. Loudwire's writing pieces about it. It's
Yep.
viral on Twitter. Somebody's going to see that and be like, oh, I wonder what this Cannibal Corpse thing is all about.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
Most people aren't gonna enjoy it, but there's somebody out there who's gonna see that Kourtney Kardashian wore a Cannibal Corpse shirt. They're gonna go Google Cannibal Corpse, and they're gonna discover something about themselves, and that's a wonderful thing.
exactly. And like, and it's kind of related, like you said, the elitism of metal that it can be sometimes. Gatekeeping is so boring and tiring, and I don't know why people do it. Let people enjoy things how they enjoy things. There's no one way for somebody to enjoy something. There's so many different ways. Don't shoot people down because they have a specific way of going about something. Because I mean, it's just so tiring. Why is it really going to affect people in the long run? Is Kourtney Kardashian wearing a Cannibal Corpse shirt really going to affect Cannibal Corpse as a whole band? No, it's not. And then on top of that, I'm actually happier that she has the shirt rather than like posting a screenshot of a Cannibal, just listening to a Cannibal Corpse song. Because as you said, they're getting far more money for the fact that she bought that shirt than her listening to the music. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, we've got win-wins all around, but people want to put them as losses. They're not losses. This is how the Black Album, we're talking about the Black Album here. Literally something that was done by Metallica to be be a thing, to be more inclusive and get more things to more people. That's literally what it is. It's a
Absolutely.
change from the thrash.
It was their foray into out of their thrash era and into becoming the biggest rock band in the world. It was, they left the speed metal, the kind of harsher tones that Hetfield had in his voice. They left that all beside and got with mega producers and changed their sound into more of a sort of generic rock sound, but really anthemic, really arena rock, and just exploded the genre. There's so much music out there today that wouldn't be there if it wasn't for how big the Black Album became.
Exactly. And then it's actually interesting. We talk about some other things that I discovered. As you said, new producer. But this was the first one with what's his name? Bob Rock. Yeah. So not only was it new producer, the Black Album ended 3 marriages.
Yep.
Of,
Yeah,
it took a long time. What
it was a tumultuous era for him.
Yes, I forget in my reading whichever one it was. Um, yeah, altered. Yes, here it is. After the production of Saint Anger, the fourth and final Metallica record Rock would produce, a petition signed by 1,500 fans was posted online in an attempt to encourage the band to prohibit Rock from producing Metallica albums, saying he had too much influence on the band's sound and music direction. Rock said the petition hurt his children's feelings. He said, sometimes, even with a great coach, a team keeps losing. You have to get new blood in there. So very interesting. And as we just said, it was a move to make things more relatable. And can you blame him for it? No.
No, and when the album came out, there was a big backlash from the OG fans that Metallica had sold out. Like, yeah, they sold out. They sold out arenas every night.
Yep.
They sold 30 million or whatever albums. They expanded rock and metal so far that even 30 years later, we're still talking about it as one of the greatest rock metal albums ever made. If that's selling out, I'll sell out every day.
Yep. I literally almost 30. Well, it's over 30 years at this point because it looks like, yeah. Oh, wow. It finished recording on my birthday in 1991. Also that's one thing to acknowledge here, and I'm not trying to put you on blast with this, Spoon, but the 4 albums that we have been talking about, they all came out 5 years before I was born. So to say that, like, yeah, it wasn't actively in my like direct ability to get, and also even further, and it's so funny how this all correlates. When I was a kid, I listened to all of my music on Napster. So
Oh, Napster.
so throw Metallica out the window again because they were not about it. And it's funny because Napster was I believe Best Buy product. The reason that my family had it is my dad spent a lot of money at Best Buy buying stuff like camera stuff and like stuff like that. So they literally gave him a free membership to Napster, who was then bought by Rhapsody. So now it was just Rhapsody. I don't even know if it still exists. I would be surprised if it does. Um, but yeah, as I said, it was 5 years before I was born. They finished recording it 6 years before I was born, 5 years before I was born. And I have had the exposure, but just to say that it hasn't always been readily available to me. Because when we get to start talking about some of these older bands, I do have some very distinct lapses in what I have and have not listened to.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's what I love about this is I literally spent the past 48 hours brushing up on everything. Of course I've heard Who For Whom the Bell Tolls. Of course I've heard Seek and Destroy. Of course I've heard one at least once. Um I of course I've heard Enter Sandman and Nothing Else Matters and all these things, but I never taken the time to sit down and go cover to cover because you have to do that with albums and specifically metal and rock because there's so much stuff that is missed specifically in metal because I I fall victim to this all the time. When I pull up a new album on Apple Music, it highlights the ones that are very popular with stars. So that way you can see which ones people are listening to the most. I have a habit of just clicking those straight up and going into them. However, 9 times out of 10, after I've listened to the full album, my favorite songs are not the ones with the stars by them. Um, and I would say Ride the Lightning was probably the one case that it was because, as I said, Fade to Black is the second most popular song on that album according to Apple Music, and that's probably my favorite outside of Trapped Under Ice. But I mean, Master of Puppets, whoo, Battery with a backing of Master of Puppets is incredible. I mean, just going through and getting to experience some of these things for the first time. This is what music is about. And
Yeah, absolutely. And, coming back to your favorite songs are often not the big singles, with the exception of Ride Lightning. Every album that they put out of those big five, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All, and the Black Album. My favorite or second favorite song on every album is not a single. With Kill 'Em All, it was Jump in the Fire.
okay.
Ride the Lightning, it's Call of Cthulhu. I
Oh,
love Call of Cthulhu so much.
yes.
Master of Puppets, two of my absolute favorite Metallica songs are on Master of Puppets, and neither one of them was a single, and they're so underrated. Disposable Heroes and Leper Messiah are fantastic tracks, and more people need to give them the love that they deserve. And Justice for
This,
All, one is my favorite song, but Dyer's Eve is right up there too. Love it. And then with the
oh,
Black Album, My Friend of Misery, amazing track, absolutely amazing. It's buried under, hit after hit after hit,
yeah.
but My Friend of Misery is the pinnacle of that album for me.
Yeah. And I mean, as I said earlier, for the Black Album, it's very hard for me to not have a favorite song other than Enter Sandman because of how ingrained it is into my blood of being at Virginia Tech. I have the video somewhere on my phone or on my computer, and I might see if I can get it posted out on our Twitter account. But though 2018 was my last year in Virginia Tech. So yeah, 2018. Um, so 2018 in September or October. I want to say it was October. I want to say it was probably either October 11th or October 18th. Notre Dame came to Virginia Tech for a night game. I believe it was Thursday game. And as I said earlier, that was one of the earthquakes. But I was actually at the point where I was doing on-field coverage for the student-run news channel, and got to be on the field in the lineup where you saw them run out of the tunnel and experience all of that. And I mean, like I said, it's ingrained in my blood. It happens before every game. They go crazy with it everywhere on campus. And it's one of those things that you go to Virginia. Oh, that's what I was. Okay. So, and on top of that, there is this massive petition to get Metallica to come to Virginia Tech.
That would be
Obviously.
incredible.
However, they have not. There were huge rumors about it in 2017 or 2015 when Ohio State came to Virginia Tech for that game. We got Brad Paisley instead. I couldn't go because I had a concussion. I did go to the game. I did go to the game, and that was a very interesting walk back home because I was not very functionable because of how loud it was. But in 2015, I believe that was Beamer's last year. The last home game of the year, yes, November 22nd, 2015. I want to say it was before the game, but over the loud screen, over the Jumbotron, Metallica recorded a special message and send off for Frank Beamer, and they all came up on the screen and we're like, "Hey, Frank, it's been awesome. I've been loving it." And I want to say the Enter Sandman thing started with Frank Beamer. I believe it was not a thing until he was at the school. Granted, he was at the school since the 80s, so there's a lot of time there for it to be established. But it was, I will never forget going to that game. Everybody's going crazy about it being his last game. And then they're like, everybody turn around, look at the Jumbotron for a special message for Frank Beamer. And up pops Hetfield and Lars and all of them. And everybody just starts losing it. And it was just so amazing.
It's
and
incredible.
one of those little special things that, like, if that hadn't happened, if the Black Album never existed, Enter Sandman wouldn't be a thing. That intro wouldn't be a thing. All of that. And like we go back, it's been 30 years, but it still has such an important lifeline and important like wrinkle in music history.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the formative records for me personally. I don't know what my musical taste would be if I hadn't listened to the Black Album as a kid. It's just such an important record to so many people, and to see them doing the Blacklist re-release here on Friday, and seeing all of the different genres that are included in those songs, and getting to think about how many kids are going to get to have that experience that I had way back when. It's just really special. I love the fact that they're doing this. I love the fact that it's all the proceeds are going to charity. It's such a great thing. This is
that's
the
the
best of
opposite of a
metal.
sellout. That's the opposite of a sellout. All the proceeds going to charity. So with all of that said, and obviously we will be very, very excited for the release on Friday. And it will have already been released by the time you guys are hearing this. So I guarantee you we will have already opened it up. But there was some new music that came out this past week. Now, unfortunately, Spoon, we just said you had a little bit more experience here as opposed to our last episode where I had more of the background for Memphis May Fire. A lot of my listening time for the week was taken up refreshing myself with Metallica, but I did listen to a little bit of new music. Most notably, I would say I sat down and listened to my first Iron Maiden album. Senjutsu was pretty sweet. I liked it.
Senjutsu was very good. It was very Iron Maiden, with the exception of the lead single from the album, "Writing on the Wall." I still feel like that was kind of out of place with the rest of the album. It's a good track, don't get me wrong, but I just don't feel it fit with everything else that was on that album. But Senjutsu was a great album. For me, The Death of the Celts was probably the best track. But every track is it really elicits that classic Maiden vibe, that sound that you expect from Bruce Dickinson and Steve Harris and the guys. And I thought that Dickinson's vocals were a little buried in the production, but that's really my only complaint about that album. It was very good. I was impressed that it sounded so Maiden like, with it being, their what 16th album, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what it said. And yeah, that I mean, so that was something else I wanted to touch upon with and my listening experience to Metallica, and it goes into Iron Maiden, and it's more. I guess it's more so associated with how much I listen to hip hop and stuff like that. But it was really refreshing to be listening to Injustice for All and Master of Puppets and all of this. And like, yeah, they're only 8 song albums, but they're still almost an hour long. And that's been something I've noticed here recently, not with like the super duper crazy, like 24, 25, 30 song albums that have been coming out from some artists, but like there's been a really big, weird push recently for like 7, 8 song albums that are only about 30, 35 minutes. I don't
Hmm?
mind it. And honestly, if it's 35 minutes of solid music, I get it. But it's also kind of cool to sit down and listen to an album, an 8 song album, and be entertained for an hour. The Senjutsu is what, 13? No, it's 10 tracks,
Yeah,
including the 11th being the music video for the Writing on the Wall. It's an hour and 28 minutes.
yeah. It's a long one, but it's well worth it.
Yeah,
Some
and I
of them
mean,
are 10-minute long tracks, but they take you on a journey, and it's if you're a fan of that new wave of British heavy metal sound that Iron Maiden pioneered, you're gonna love this album.
yeah, and I mean that was something that I was a little hesitant at first when I was doing some research on Metallica, was how like I think it was up until the Black Album they had an instrumental song on every single album,
Mhm.
but it was incredible. I can get down with that. I can get down with it. The problem that I have when I think of the albums that I listen to and stuff like that, and why I had so much hesitation at first, is if I'm listening to a hip hop album, I don't want one song that's just a beat. That would be kind of
I,
weird. But then you get down to it, and when I talked about the otherworldly guitars and the drums and the bass, you can fill an 8-minute song in metal and rock without words because you can show your technical mastery.
yeah, the instrumental songs on those first four albums, they're some of Metallica's greatest tracks. Honestly, the for me, I dabbled in guitar and I dabbled in bass, and I really loved the bass guitar. So for me, Anesthesia on Kill 'Em All, Cliff just going crazy at the end
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
It's so fantastic. Like I said when we were talking about Ride the Lightning, Call of Cthulhu is one of my favorite tracks on that album. It's such a great instrumental. The Orion instrumental on Master of Puppets,
yes.
phenomenal. Those are the three that are kind of head and shoulders above the rest. To live is to die on And Justice for All. It's a good instrumental, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it lives up to Orion, Call of Cthulhu, and Anesthesia.
Yeah, I was actually just getting ready to ask you what the instrumental was on Injustice for All, because it's actually not labeled as the other three are on Wikipedia. The other three are labeled like Orion, and all of them are labeled as instrumentals. But To Live Is to Die is not.
It's
And
not strictly an instrumental.
oh,
There's a spoken word part at the very end,
okay.
but it's basically an instrumental. It's like three lines at the very end of the track. So it's close enough to call
Oh,
it an instrumental
okay,
for me.
okay. Yeah. Except, so I'm looking here for the track listing. All lyrics were written by James Hetfield, except for the spoken word section. To Live Is to Die. Post. I can never say this word. Posthumously.
Posthumously.
Attributed to Cliff Burton, as it was adapted from 4 lines Burton authored. So I mean, yeah, I'm also finding out from looking at these. So, I want to say back when I was in high school, my stepmom had a friend who lived up in Northern Virginia, and we went up to their house one time, or actually their apartment one time. And when we were leaving, on the on the curb was just this box, live shit, binge and purge, Metallica.
Oh God, that is so good.
Well,
I
guess what? I took it, so I own it.
I wish I owned it, and I wish I had been alive and concert going during that era, because to see those concerts that are on live shit, binge and purge would have. I mean, I've seen Metallica, and it was the greatest concert going experience that I've had. But to be able to see them in that era when they were at their peak, oh man, that would have been something.
Yeah, I actually just got up to grab it, and what I'll probably do is after we finish recording, I might take a picture of it and put it on the account. But yeah, on it, or inside of it, I've got the three VHSs, the Seattle show, San Diego, and the 2 San Diego shows, a cassette tape from Mexico City, and then they also have the little like the logo, like a spray paint thing for the logo that you can push everything out of. Literally, like I said, it was just sitting on the edge waiting for the trash to come pick it up. And I looked at my dad. I was like, can I take that? He's like, go grab it. So I took it. I was like, I mean, if they're gonna get rid of it, why not? It's in
Absolutely.
It's in pretty good. I mean, the box itself is in pretty good shape. There was like a sticker on the top that tore a little bit off the top, but it's not like horrific. But yeah, just one of those random things that I have that like, yeah, I don't own a Metallica album, but I have live shit, binge and purge.
I need to own that at some point. I need to track it down and purchase it because
Is it
so
decently
good.
rare?
I've seen this. I don't know if it's rare, but it's just something that I've never like consciously sat down and tried to buy. Because
Yeah.
I've seen the performances. I've seen the Seattle concert and the 2 San Diego concerts. So I've seen it. I just don't own it, and I need to.
Oh my gosh. I just went on to Amazon and looked it up. My version, the audio cassette tape, is used from $150.
Okay, so maybe I don't need to own it.
They had the CD one is 9064, but it looks like it might be. Oh no, it looks like it is the box set as well. But I mean, crazy. One thing I'm definitely gonna have to do in the past, and God, if they don't have vinyls, I'm gonna be pissed. Or in the future, I need to get some Metallica vinyls for my collection. I think I told you
I'd
guys
be able to
about
find
that.
them.
Yeah. Oh, I have plenty of places that I can look into. But and then some, yeah, it was just incredible to sit down and actually listen to all of this and just educate myself and learn about the forefathers. Like I said, I'd like to maybe listen to some I like to listen to some Megadeth. I've never really gotten into Megadeth. Some other things in that sense, but like I said, all of this stuff was it was in the 80s, 90s. This is the stuff my mom was listening to. Um
Yeah,
and
this is the stuff that my parents were listening to, and I'm I'm thankful that this is the stuff that they were listening to, and I'm thankful that they were the kind of parents that didn't try to shield me from the rock world and lyrics that some parents might find objectionable,
yeah,
because I don't know where I would be if I hadn't listened to this music that has become such an integral part of who I am.
yeah, and I mean that's something that I struggled with for a while, and like my parents and I have come to the point. I mean, obviously, I'm 25 years old. There's not really much I can say about the music I listen to anymore. But like when I was younger, I didn't really talk to my mom much about music until I was a little older, and I found out that we had some similar interests in some of the classic rock that I liked. But for some reason, when I was younger, my dad had this really big, like, yeah, you can't have any music with cuss words on. And I mean, like, yeah, I get it. I was probably like 12, 13. But my friends were already saying it. It's not like it was anything I hadn't heard already. Like,
And
and
my parents were fine with it. They just, they were like, you can't say the cuss words when you're
yeah,
singing
yeah,
along, but they never sought to shield me from it. I was listening to, I think I mentioned this on one of our previous episodes, but the Alice in Chains Dirt album came out when I was 7, and it's one of the first things that I can remember listening to and just thinking, "Oh my God, what is this, and where can I get more of it?"
yeah.
And looking back, that's probably like looking back and thinking about the lyrical content of some of those songs, probably something 7-year-olds should be listening to.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful that my parents never shielded me from those things and only really cared about me not saying the cuss words.
Yeah, and I know, like, personally, like, thinking about things, like, part of this was the fact that I went to Catholic school until I was in 8th grade and like all that. But again, like, yeah, I went to a private Catholic school, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. No, it's not like your crazy nice private school. Just think of the poorest private school you can think of, and that's where I went. Like, my from the 5th through 8th grade, we had one class per grade, and the 5th through 8th grade were all in trailers.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, no, 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 very small. I mean, it was a Catholic school attached to a church, very small. It wasn't. I mean, it's grown massively since I left. That was 8th grade. It's been way too long for me to calculate that. Um, but I want to say 2010. I'll make that guess. 2010. But I was going to church twice a week, and my mom was a teacher there and everything. I guarantee you that was probably part of the reason why it was pushed so hard. But then, ever since I got into high school, and I kind of looked at my dad and was like, yeah, I'm going to listen to what I want to listen to. We can listen together, or we cannot listen. He's been very open about it. And I mean, like, I went and saw Slipknot. I took my dad to see Slipknot with me. It's like just the growing up and like having things change, and it's always kind of cool. But like, I remember he was telling me, like, his dad was really into Kiss and stuff like that. He had a bunch. He was part of Kiss Army, um, all of that,
Nice.
and he had it was really upsetting when I started collecting vinyls. He thought that my grandmother still had all of his records from because he passed away before 9/11, 2001, in like July 2001. Um, but she was like, "No, I don't. I got rid of them all. I didn't think these would be worth anything." And my dad was just like, "What?
Oh,
No." So, but like, just like, he got that experience. But then, like I said, when I was growing up, they were like, "Yeah, country music. You want to listen to another channel? Country music." So I had to pretty much go out and discover everything on my own. Like I said, and I mentioned earlier with the Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock, that's where I heard what's their names? Slipknot for the first time, because Before I Forget was on there. That's where I heard Metallica for the first time. That's where I heard like Guns N' Roses and stuff like that for the first time, because I wanted to play Guitar Hero and Legends of Rock. These are Legends of Rock. It's
well, and I
crazy.
think I think a lot of kids had that experience.
Yeah.
It's tantamount to the Black Album that we've been talking about, getting that exposure to people who otherwise wouldn't get it. Metallica kind of changed their sound to attract a different audience, and we've got video games that are throwing songs in there to attract a different audience. The sports games have been big into that, and Guitar Hero has been probably the biggest on that front, getting
even even
that
further than just
exposure.
games, ESPN itself. A lot of people don't realize that when you're watching those sporting, like all the live games and stuff, their cutaway songs are instrumentals from Warped Tour bands and instrumentals from rock bands, because like, yeah, they could put pop music on, but that doesn't really fit with the background of what they're showing, and like they need something energetic and upbeat and stuff like that. Pop music can be, but it doesn't have the same effect. They use a lot of rock, they use a lot of metal, they use a lot of rap. I mean, not that this is metal, but I mean, with Drake releasing his album, he literally used ESPN to announce the release date.
Huh,
These
didn't know that.
forms, yeah, it was at the end of one of the Sports Center things. It cut to black, and then it had a little video with him, and his album's called Certified Lover Boy. So it's at CLB September 3rd. Boom,
Nice.
right there. So I mean, but just those little things. That's how things have changed so much. And like we said earlier with the Kardashian stuff, I mean, if you were to call Metallica sellouts because ESPN contacted them and they're like, "Hey, can we put your song over one of our things?" That would be ridiculous because how else are they supposed to get exposure outside of their own scene? You have to reach out and do these things. And yeah, it might look corny. Yeah, it might look this, but you have to do these things in order to grow your band and grow your reach. And they did it probably better than anybody
Yeah, I mean,
outside of
as
maybe Kiss.
I was just gonna say, as far as marketability, like them and Kiss,
Shoot,
all of their merchandise.
Gene Simmons is still getting money from Kiss merchandise. Like anything. You want to call
They
somebody a sellout, it's him. It's not Metallica.
they did it in drastically different ways, but they both found a way to appeal to a larger audience and became icons because of it.
Yep. Yep. It was great. So we have gone pretty long here. And I don't want to keep going too much longer because we are over the hour mark at this point. But hey, a lovely full episode for you guys. It's like I said, work's been crazy for me personally. This is a nice getaway from having to like focus on that, and it's been great to sit down and talk about music. Something I wish I can do a lot more. But yeah, we got a little bit into new music. Was there anything you specifically wanted to highlight for stuff that you would listen to this week that you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, I wanted to just give a quick shout out to one of the albums that I listened to over the week. It was a band called Beyond Grace. They released a an album. Let me get my where is it was called Our Kingdom Undone, and it was probably the best thing that I listened to this week. I listened to 15 or 16 different new metal drops, new in EW, not in you, and it was probably the best thing that I heard this week. So I wanted to give a quick shout out to them.
Yeah, and then like as you were mentioning Bad Flower earlier, they do have a new album coming out on the 24th, and they released a new song, Johnny Wants to Fight. I liked it. I was a big fan. I never ever in my life listened to Bad Flower before this weekend. And I was impressed. Another song that I or another album release that's coming up that I was listening to. Have you ever heard of Don Bronco?
I have heard a couple of their tracks, and I am a surprisingly big fan of what I've heard.
Yeah. So they were really big, a big Warp Tour name a few years ago, like getting their start up
Okay.
there. They're from the UK. They've drastically changed a lot of their sound over the past couple of years. Because I want to say they were a bit more like pop punky at the start, but it's pretty good. It's definitely hard rock. It's called Amazing Things, the album that's coming up. That one is dropping on October 22nd. But the first two songs, they're called Gum Shield and then Manchester Super Red's Number One Fan. Um, they're pretty freaking good. It's been a while since I've listened to them at all. They have this one song called "Welcome to LA" that really, really, really like just it'll randomly start like going through my head, just be like "Welcome to LA, welcome to LA." But yeah, that was really cool. There was something I
Yeah.
just saw that. Oh, this is the last thing I wanted to leave off, and it's a little tie back to our Metallica conversation. Something else that released this week that I did not listen to and didn't really have a chance to listen to, but the 40th anniversary release of Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue.
I didn't know that came out.
So yeah, apparently it did just come out. And the only reason I bring that up is because if you go and I'm going to say this by referencing the fact that I am using Metallica for a lot, or not Metallica, Wikipedia for
Hmm?
a lot of my information on Metallica. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because it's all got the stuff here. But the reason that they brought rock into produce what's it called, the Black Album, was because of how he produced Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Dr. Feelgood is an incredible album. You know, the hair metal era kind of gets a bad rap, but
Oh, it does. It does.
Motley Crue put out some great songs, and Dr. Feelgood is probably their best.
Yeah, so like Motley Crue, that and like the hair metal, that's a lot. Like my parents, they really, 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 really into that. But it was just, it's cool to see all these little things. And like at the same time, like last week, we get the 40th anniversary of this album, and then this week we get the 30th anniversary of the Black Album. And the only reason the Black Album is the Black Album is because they were impressed with Bob Rock's production work on Dr. Phil. It's just the tie-ins are amazing.
Mhm.
There's so many, music's amazing, and there's so many things under the surface that people don't even realize that is happening. Like this. If Bob Rock hadn't done the production on Dr. Feelgood, maybe we don't have the Metallica that we know after the Black Album. Maybe we don't have the Black Album in general. And it's just all these little things that, somebody makes an album and they're impressed by it, and then they go ahead and they're like, "Yo, you want to work with us? Can we try this? Can we see what happens?" And you end up having a top-notch metal album that has continued to stay in pop culture for 30 plus, or well, now 30 years.
Yeah, it's really incredible how serendipitous things can be.
Yes. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. This has been the 4th episode of Blast Beats, focusing on everybody's favorite forefather band. It's not everybody's favorite forefather band, but it's our favorite forefather band, Metallica. And like we said, like I said, and I know Chris has pushed out the same feelings. It was just incredible to sit down, and he was a little bit more nuanced in this conversation than me, but getting to learn. And that's, really what when I envisioned this podcast, no matter what the genre was that I was doing it with, I just wanted an opportunity not only to talk about the things that I love, but also to discover more things. And that's exactly what's happening. This whole new music thing that we're doing at the end, literally just to be like, hey, this is what we're thinking of. This is what we heard. What about you guys? Definitely reach out to us on Twitter. Interact with the at Blast Beats or is it ATB _Blast Beats?
TB _Blast Beats.
Yes, at ATB _Blast Beats. My name is Zach Ner. You can follow me at Zach Ner, ZACHKNERR, silent K's. Gotta love them. And Chris, where can the lovely audience find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Spoonful of Sport, or I interact a lot on the Blast Beats Twitter handle. So you can find me either place.
Yes. More than willing to discuss things with you guys. Let us know how you're feeling about the podcast. Let us know if there's anything we can do better, anything that you guys love, what we're doing that's working, what we're doing that's not working. Any advice, any suggestions are always welcome. And the only thing I ask, just be respectful. I will give you guys nothing but respect because we're very new in this. I didn't think it was going to be a perfect thing from the get-go, but we're doing pretty good. I feel like we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, we're definitely getting there. I like the trajectory that we're on.
And I do want to let you guys know, I did have a bigger plan for the episode this week. We did get a suggestion, and I do want to shout the suggestion out for specifically the YouTube way of watching this podcast, we're going to try to do an like actual interactive video. So that way in the future, when we're talking about Metallica, and specifically what albums we're talking about, I could have a picture of Injustice for All when Chris was talking about Injustice for All, and we can probably put up the track list for the Blacklist album, so that way you guys can see it. Unfortunately, my work schedule got a bit crazy this week, so I was going to use tomorrow to do or Thursday to do all this, but things got out of hand. Next week, though, I fully plan on having that ready for you guys just to make things a little more personal and a little easier to try to keep things on mind of where we are, because I know we jump around a lot and do all these like jumping and topics and all of that stuff just to make things a bit easier. But I want to thank you guys. Stay awesome, stay classy. Love y'all. This has been Zach and Chris with Blast Beats, and we will see you guys next week.